With this new chapter of Black Clover, Lucifero gets serious, Asta gets absolutely destroyed, and Yuno joins the fight. Previously, Asta was downright getting bullied by Lucifero. This was until the various captains of the Clover Kingdom stepped in to fight alongside him. Here, they would go all out, immediately rushing the Fiend, only to recognize the overwhelming difference in their power. I mean, even the mighty Mereo Leona was being swatted away like a pesky fly. Nozel would come to the aid of her and Jack, while simultaneously attacking the Devilish King, as his Mercury magic doubles as an incredible offensive and defensive tool. But that does not matter at all when you are up against Lucifero, as before Nozel could even blink, his face was being palmed by the creature's bony hand before he was cast away with incredible force. His rival Fugelion would then attack alongside the Fire Spirit Salamander, but as Lucifero put it, this was all pointless, as he would grab hold of the spirit by the corner of its mouth and use its entire body like a blunt instrument to smack Fugelion with. Dorothy tried to use her dream magic here, as if Morris didn't already make it clear that that sort of thing was no match for gravity, and was immediately countered. Simply put, Lucifero is just a different breed. The very concept of humans engaging against him in battle was disgusting to him, that such lowly creatures were expected to despair and or worship him and nothing more. Mereo Leona was not done with him yet though, as she would rise back up and attack with her fiery fury, but again Lucifero would just knock her back. This time, however, Mereo Leona would take the attack but would not fall and would only skid back a bit before letting this thing know that regardless of how far beneath him they may be, they would not back down, because each of them, as captains, had been given the title of the strongest. As the pride of their country and the hope of the world, they refused to give up against all odds. Truly a display of human optimism Lucifero most definitely was not fond of. But with him being distracted, Asta would seize this incredible opportunity as he appeared behind the monstrous monarch and swung his blade, the ever-massive Demon Slayer sword, all while expressing just how incredible Magic Knights are. With this latest chapter, we pick up right from there as Lucifero is shown evading this sudden strike. However, although Asta failed to deliver a proper wound onto Lucifero, he did succeed in cutting off the tip of one of the king's horns, an act which absolutely enraged the ravenous royal, as he would suddenly grip onto the boy's face and plunge him down into the earth with an insane amount of gravitational pressure. Thus far, Lucifero has certainly been shown to have quite the anger management issues, but oh man, this was on another level. He went absolutely berserk. And once Asta was grounded, he did not stop. At this point, he was stomping Asta out, and it was brutal, all the while insulting him and screaming as he provided such a blemish by an entity perceived to be unfathomably far below himself was maddening. There was no way Asta would be able to handle much more of this, but luckily enough for him, in the midst of this, Mereo Leona would return yet again, engulfing the devil's body in flames, as Charlotte and Dorothy provided support, removing Asta from harm's way. But man, Asta got stomped out so badly that he lost his Devil Union mode. He was now in critical condition and unmoving, but the captains were now able to recognize that Asta's anti-magic is actually capable of dealing damage to this thing. And so above all else, their greatest priority would be to protect him and keep him alive, as he was their only hope. They would try their best to hold Lucifero off, but man, was this a devil on a mission, as he pushed them all aside in pursuit of the magicless twerp that cut his horn. Jack would re-enter the fray as well, embedding himself into the side of Lucifero as he declared his refusal of being shown up by Asta yet again, but Lucifero really did not care and knocked him away easily. I mean, let's be honest, Jack struggled against Dante, who possessed only a sliver of Lucifero's power, so yeah, he can't really do much here, he can't hang. But at this point, Nozel was the one taking care of Asta's unconscious body, as he would express how Asta, despite being a peasant, was able to teach a royal such as himself that anyone could fight their heart out and succeed, even if they were vastly outmatched. And believe it or not, Lucifero did not want to hear it and crushed yet another pest. And of course, on the note of pesky, yet again, Mereoleona was back, proving herself to be truly an incredible combatant on account of her rising up time after time, blow after blow, as perhaps the most durable of the captains present, but this time she stood alongside her brother with Salamander behind them. Our two fiery siblings would then both make it clear that they expected more from Asta than anyone else. For Fugelion, it was as a magic knight, a respect for the drive and determination of a peer who rose from nothing. For Mereoleona, it was as her prey. She, for as powerful as she is, considers Asta to be a rival of sorts worth commemorating and cultivating. This combined attack was absolutely astonishing. The firepower displayed here would devastate and incinerate just about any threat imaginable. Any threat besides Lucifero, that is, as he would emerge without a blemish in sight and was merely annoyed by their efforts more than anything else. He held firmly onto Fugelion's face only to leap from atop the underbelly of Salamander and throw the fiery captain right at Rill, what was most definitely a crushing blow for these various captains. The yet unnamed devil of the second lair was astute enough to recognize that the only reason the captains were able to fight and resist here was thanks to the Valhalla spell of Rill. But even still, they did fare far better than expected, but at the end of the day, this devil would conclude that they were merely human and so their fates were sealed. With the captains all dealt with, Lucifero was free to resume his targeting of Asta, as to him, Asta was to blame for all of this discomfort, and so he would aim to crush Asta beneath his heel once and for all. However, when his foot met the ground, Asta was nowhere to be found. Yet a single, star-like luminescent construct was found floating right beside the devil. As now, looking over his shoulder, Lucifero would see a new human enter the battle, saving a terribly bloodied and incapacitated Asta. It was Yuno alongside Sylph and Mimosa, as he'd made it clear that finally, Asta was the one who owed him now. And let me just say that this shot of Yuno is just so clean. And this is exciting. Asta may be horribly damaged right now and perhaps on the verge of death, but Mimosa, one of if not the greatest healer in the series, is right here and will definitely have him back up and slashing in no time. Asta and Yuno facing off against Lucifero side by side is going to be amazing, as in theory, both of them can actually harm him. That being said, I have no doubt that Noelle will be jumping in as well at some point. Thus far, she played pretty much no role in the giant bull situation and has been healed up for a while now. And on top of that, as of the most recent poll, she is the most popular character in the series, and again, is yet another character that can do damage to such a high-ranking devil. Now, what's crazy to me is that despite being infuriated and such, Lucifero still hasn't really been trying at all. The most substantial damage that has been done to this guy has been the equivalent of a paper cut or the clipping of a giant toenail, and even in fighting these captains, he has been slapping, grabbing, and throwing them. This is a professional athlete against a pack of toddlers. If he were to actually use some magic beyond his mere presence being pressure inducing, then they would really be wetting themselves. One thing I really love about conflicts like this in Black Clover is that it is hard to know exactly how our heroes will make it out alive, because these circumstances are just so overwhelmingly difficult. But either way, you already know it's going to be epic, and I hope you also know to subscribe to Plot Armor with notifications on, because when it comes to bringing you some of the best Black Clover content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.